With the FIFA World Cup taking place currently, we decided to take the top 32 college football teams and put them in their own World Cup with the same exact format. As you can see, here are the participants. We have randomized them according to seeding, so it's completely randomized for their grouping. You see all the teams we have here. Which one do you think will reign supreme as our first college football World Cup champion? Here we go, taking a look group by group who will be moving on in Group A. You had Texas running the gauntlet 3-0, and the runner-up to also advance to the round of 16, South Carolina, a 2-1 record in Group A, their only loss coming at the hands of the Longhorns. In Group B, you had an unbeaten Georgia squad, 3-0 in a stacked Group B. The runner-up is the 2-1 Crimson Tide of Alabama, their only loss at the hands of the Bulldogs. Taking a look at Group C, again, another decent division here in TCU, able to go 3-0 and run Group C, and the runner-up position was a really mixed bag. You had three teams all going 1-2, but North Carolina and the Tar Heels would be able to win the tiebreak situations and move on to the round of 16. Gonna look here at Group D, and the Louisville Cardinals go 3-0 in their group, with the runner-up being USC, the Trojans, at 2-1 to advance to the group of 16. Group E had a bunch of run-of-the-mill type teams, in my opinion, but a 2-1 Wake Forest and a 2-1 Kansas State squad will be enough to move on to the round of 16. In Group F, you had the Utah Utes going 3-0, running the table in Group F, and their follow-up was the Iowa Hawkeyes. A 2-1 record was enough for the Hawkeyes to advance. Looking at Group G, it was run completely by the Buckeyes. Ohio State goes 3-0 in Group G and easily advances to the round of 16, followed by the runner-up 2-1, the Clemson Tigers, the only loss coming at the hands of the Buckeyes. The Tigers advance. And in our last group, Group H, you see it here. You had Penn State run the table 3-0 in what was one of the most stacked divisions and groups in our bracket. Penn State 3-0, followed by LSU 2-1, advances to the round of 16. So ladies and gentlemen, here is the round of 16 bracket. Again, it's win or go home. One of these 16 teams will be our first ever college football World Cup champion here to celebrate the FIFA World Cup going on. You see our matchups: Texas and Iowa, Clemson, Penn State, Wake Forest, and Bama. You have North Carolina versus Louisville, TCU and USC, South Carolina, Utah, Ohio State and LSU, and lastly, Kansas State taking on Georgia. Let's get into each matchup round by round and see who advances to the round of 8. So we're here for our first matchup. It is the Longhorns taking on the Hawkeyes of Iowa. One of these two teams will win and advance to the Elite Eight. Here we go. We are beginning the sim, and Texas takes the early 10-0 lead. Can the Hawkeyes come back from this deficit early on to get a touchdown back, make it a 3-point game, and a field goal, tie it all up? So 10 unanswered from Iowa. At the locker room at the half, where you're tied at 10, a defensive battle. Texas with a field goal, but Iowa answers back with a touchdown. We head to the fourth quarter. Texas takes back the lead, but the Hawkeyes answer quickly. It's a 24-20 game as we go through last few minutes here. A touchdown, Ewers to Robinson, 63-yard touchdown to give them the late lead here. Can the Hawkeyes answer with a minute remaining? They have one timeout left. A huge play downfield, and they get a touchdown to Johnson, 15 yards out. The Hawkeyes take the late lead here. It's going to be a last-ditch effort, and it will maybe. Let's see, last play of the game. Let's jump in here. Let's see what transpires here. The Longhorns need a touchdown to take the lead and win this in walk-off fashion here against the Hawkeyes. They're looking over the middle. It's caught, but it's not going to be enough. And Iowa, ladies and gentlemen, takes down Texas and will advance to the group of 8. Here we go. Clemson and Penn State, our second round of 16 matchup in Clemson. It is all Clemson early on. 21-7 now here in the second quarter, just dominating both sides of the football. Realistically, right here, it is just a dominant. But Penn State 14 unanswered is making it a game here in the second half. A touchdown will tie it up, and Clemson makes it a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter, and added a field goal on top of it. 17-point lead for Clemson as they keep adding on. It's going to be a Clemson Tiger victory, moving on to the next round. So Bama taking on Wake Forest, and we're going to see how this matchup goes. It's the Demon Deacons with the early lead, but Bama with an answer, 7-3 now, second quarter. And again, a low scoring game. The defense is really doing a good job early on. 7-3, now 14-3 is Bama, 21-3. They just keep adding on, and it's going to be an all Crimson Tide game, it looks like, as Wake Forest doing a little bit. They got 10 points now, but Bama has them down 42-10. It's a 49-10 final score here. The Crimson Tide just roll over Wake Forest, an easy win as they move on to the round of 8. So here we go. It is a start for North Carolina. They get a 7-0 lead there as Drake May doing his thing, 14-7 now, second quarter. Louisville trying to battle back in this thing, take a tie game to the locker room. They will. 14-all to begin the second half as we go back and forth up and down the field, but North Carolina gets the first score of the second half. Fourth quarter now, Louisville looking to tie it up, but they turn it over late. And it's a 21-14 game. We're going to slow it down here to see if Louisville can get it going. Cunningham going downfield, 4th and 2. They convert under a minute remaining now, needing to get an answer, but 2 huge penalties on offense hurts them. And now 4th and 25, last heave. They get 10. It's not enough, and North Carolina survives with a 21-14 win, moving on to the next round. So here we go for our next matchup. It is TCU getting ready to take on the Trojans of USC. A battle of these two offenses. It's going to be fun to see which quarterback reigns supreme, who will win, and move on to the round of 8. So here we go. It is a good start for USC. They take the early lead on TCU and Dugan, but Dugan answers back with a touchdown of their own. It's a 21-14 game here in the second quarter. A little bit of back and forth was what I was exactly expecting here, as USC capitalizing off some takeaways now is up big. It's a 42-14 lead for the Trojans, as it looks like they're going to easily move on and advance. A huge win for the Trojans here against TCU. It is a 49-14 final. TCU is eliminated and USC moves on. So as we begin the sim here, I have my money on South Carolina actually winning this one here. Spencer Rattler trailing early, takes the tie. Now they're down again. Utah 14-7 now, leading here in this huge matchup. But Rattler puts them back on the board, makes it a 14-all game. 21-14 now as we begin the second half here, as they had 14 unanswered. Here we go. My daughter's yelling in the background. 28-14. South Carolina all over Utah, 35-21. And with the last minute of play here, it looks like Rattler and company will be able to prevail and get a huge win here. But Utah gets a late touchdown to Ennis, makes it now a 28-35 game. They need the onside kick. They're unable to recover. And just as simple as that, Rattler and company are going to come out here into the victory formation to take down Utah and make it a 35-28 win, moving on to take on USC. And in our next to last round of 16 matchup, it is the Tigers of LSU looking to take on one of the best teams in all of college football. It's CJ Stroud's Ohio State Buckeyes. The winner of this one moves on to the round of 8 against our last matchup, coming right after this matchup's conclusion. Here we go. CJ Stroud and company not able to get their first score on the opening drive as a defensive battle back and forth here. A couple turnovers you're seeing as well, but Ohio State takes the early 14-0 lead with 2 quick drives. Now 21-0, 28-0. LSU is getting absolutely shellacked all over the field. It's a 35-14 lead heading to the fourth quarter. LSU down big, but they're going to try to make a comeback here late, but it's not going to be enough. It's a massive and easy win there for the Ohio State Buckeyes, a 38-20 win, moving on to the next round. So here we go. I'm thinking Georgia wins this one by like 40. I don't think it's going to be much of a contest at all. But after one quarter, we are scoreless, and Kansas State looking to do the unthinkable and knock out the Bulldogs, the reigning defending champs, but the Bulldogs with the first blood. It's a 7-0 lead here in the second half, 7-3. Kansas State gets a field goal and they take a lead with a touchdown heading to the fourth quarter. It is a 19-7 lead for Kansas State here. Georgia needing to get an answer. Bennett going down the field, 4th and 5. It's dropped incomplete. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, we have an upset brewing here, and it is Kansas State does the unthinkable. They take down the Bulldogs of Georgia with 16 in the fourth quarter, a 19-7 win. Kansas State advances. Ladies and gentlemen, here is your round of 8. You see we have matchups of Iowa versus Clemson, Alabama, North Carolina, USC and South Carolina, and lastly, Ohio State and Kansas State. Let's jump in to our Big 8 matchups. Here we go, getting it going early off a turnover. Clemson takes the early 7-0 lead here against the Hawkeyes, and at the end of the quarter is 7-0. The Tigers lead here. Iowa State looking to get something going though, but it's trailing now, and Clemson makes it another score. It's 10-0 second half. Iowa driving down the field though, but can't answer. 17-0 fourth quarter, and Iowa finally with the first points, put 7 on the board, but it's going to be all Clemson here in this Elite 8 matchup, and they will move on to the Final Four. It is a final score of 31-13. The Tigers move on in advance. And as we begin the simulation here, this is Drake May versus Bryce Young, a huge matchup here, and it's a 7-0 lead early for the Crimson Tide, but Bama gives up a touchdown. North Carolina gets 14 unanswered, but Bama ties it up right before the half. We are 14 all heading to the second half of this Elite 8 matchup. North Carolina takes a 21-14 lead. Are we going to see Bama get upset as well? They're down 10, fourth quarter here. Bryce Young driving down the field, needing to get in the end zone, and they take a touchdown. They get it in 4 yards out. It makes it a 3-point game. They need an onside kick, but it's recovered by UNC. 3 timeouts remain for Bama, and they need to get some stops here, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Drake May, he kicks the field goal. It's good, so it's a 27-21 game. Bama has to get something downfield. They get a 30-yard pass out there to Holden, 13 more, and then a last play. It's not going to go. It's going to be a win for North Carolina. They hold on and upset Bama, the number 1 team in our poll really here. 27-21. Bama is out. So this is a QB fest here. We have Williams versus Rattler, and Williams takes the early 7-0 heading into the second quarter here. 14-0 now. The Gamecocks answer back with a touchdown, but USC's offense is just too good. 28-7, now 35-10 in the third quarter. Right now, it's just Williams doing his thing. This is the most dominant we've seen a team in this round of 8 so far, and it's going to be a landslide win for Williams and company, a 52-24 victory as they put up 42 points combined there in the second and third quarters. USC moves on. So yes, Kansas State is really the story so far of this bracket. A huge upset to be in the spot, but they're down early 17-0. So I do think the Cinderella story will come to a screeching halt at the hands of the Buckeyes as they are up at half 38-7, but 14 unanswered now. Oh, they're making a little comeback, but I think it's gonna be a little bit too little too late here. They're down 12. It's not going to be enough. It's going to be a huge win. Ohio State will prevail and move on to the Final Four to take on Williams and USC, a 59-33 victory for the Buckeyes. And ladies and gentlemen, here you see it. Our Final Four, we have Clemson and North Carolina. It'll be our first matchup we do the Sim for. A big matchup there of, again, pretty good offenses doing battle. We'll see who wins that one. And then the last Final Four matchup is USC and Ohio State. That matchup there is good enough to be a national title game in its own right. I think the Buckeyes have the advantage, but let's get into our first matchup as we get ready for Clemson in North Carolina. So it's all set. Our Final Four, Clemson getting ready to take on the Tar Heels of North Carolina. This is going to be a huge matchup. The winner moves on to the national championship here in our College Football World Cup. So here we go, getting started with the sim. If it's close in the fourth quarter, we'll jump in and watch a few plays. But right now, it is back and forth. We are seeing a huge offensive swing going back and forth, but Clemson takes the 26-14 lead as we see right into the locker room at half. It is 26-14. Third quarter, North Carolina has to answer. They get a few back there, but it's not going to be enough to make it a single-digit game. Fourth quarter, Clemson is now starting to run away with the game here. With a 43-24 win, it's going to be enough for Clemson to advance and move on as our first team in the national championship. As we begin to kick off our second and Final Four matchup, it is maybe the best two teams remaining in the bracket before Clemson, of course. It is USC, led by Caleb Williams. And then you got CJ Stroud's Ohio State Buckeyes. These two offenses have been nothing short than elite in this tournament, but one of these two teams will have to win and move on, while the others' tournament dreams and championship dreams end here in the Final Four. So here we go, USC and Ohio State. I can see this going either way, but I do think Ohio State is the far superior team, and so far it looks that way. It is a dominant effort. Ohio State up 20 26-0 in the second half. USC finally gets the first points on the board, but I'm not sure it's going to be even close. I think it's just going to be a complete one-sided victory here, and it will be a 39-14 win as Ohio State dismantles the Trojans and sends Williams home packing, and they will be taking on Clemson in our national championship. So there you see, ladies and gentlemen, the bracket is complete. We're here for our national championship as it's Clemson and Ohio State. Clemson, again, has not really been pushed at all throughout the entirety of this. Clemson has really not been pushed at all through the entirety of the group play, the tournament play here. Ohio State's had, about the same road, but one of these two teams will take home our World Cup national championship here for the college football landscape. And it has all come to this, our national championship for the College Football World Cup. We have Ohio State getting ready to take on the Clemson Tigers. Again, two of the best teams in football as of late, but I do think Ohio State has the upper hand. Will Clemson's defense have enough to cause pressure on Stroud and cause them into some potential turnovers? This is going to be a big matchup. Winner take all for the national title. Here we go. We begin our sim. We're going to go through this a little bit slower and come into some key moments. Clemson takes the early 7-0 lead here against Ohio State, but Stroud answers back. They get a rushing touchdown to tie this game up heading to the second quarter. We need to see what happens. An interception there is Clemson's ball. They're driving down the field. 3rd and 5, they convert a huge play, and that puts us in the red zone, and it's a touchdown. Spector on the catch, 12 yards out. It's a 14-7 lead for the Tigers, and they get a 3-and-out. They get the ball back with a chance to make it a double-digit lead, but unfortunately, it's not going to stand for them there as Ohio State moving down the field, marching down with a 24-yard play. A penalty pushes them back, but a touchdown on the ground for Henderson ties this thing up just before the half. So as we lead down here, is a huge play. It's a 1st down and goal. We're going to watch this one before the half. This is going to take place here. This is a massive play. If they can take the lead here on this one, it will give them a 7-point advantage. And they go out route. It's almost intercepted. He jumps it. They're going to go hurry up. They have 1 timeout remaining here. Clemson looking to get on the scoreboard, and they're going to take off on the middle. It's a rushing touchdown as Clemson takes the lead just before the half with a huge play. So here we go in the second half. We begin our sim. It's another 3-and-out. Clemson's defense doing just enough to stay alive in this one and keep the lead. And what will they be able to do, though? As it's a 92-yard rush. You see it there. Henderson having a heyday out here. Ties the game up in the second half. What a performance we're seeing out here. But Clemson marching down the field. 3rd and 14. They convert. It's a 1st down and goal. So here we go. It's a 1st and goal for Clemson, looking to take back the lead here late in this one. They're going to pitch it out wide, and it's going to be a tackle down at the 1. So 2nd down and goal after a nice run we just saw before us, and they're going to go right up the middle, and it's going to be not a touchdown. He stopped short. So the goal line defense having to step up here for Ohio State to keep this game inside of a touchdown deficit. It's a 21-all game here. 3rd and goal, motion out to the right, single back, and they're going to go throw the ball through the air, and he throws it through the end zone. It's going to lead to a field goal. The goal line defense stands up big for Ohio State. So after the field goal, Ohio State got to answer. They got to get something going here to take the lead as we're leading into the 4th quarter here soon. And Ohio State's offense doing their thing. We have a 3rd down and 5. Let's jump into the first play of the 4th quarter. Trailing by 3. CJ Stroud and Henderson have been dynamic so far in this one. And a 3rd and 5 over the middle is caught. It's converted. It's going to be a 1st and goal. So 1st down and goal after the conversion there. Stroud in the pocket, looking. It's got time. Finds man in the back of the end zone. No, it's not going to be a touchdown, though. Just before the pylon, 2nd and goal. So he didn't stretch the ball across the pylon. It's now a 2nd and goal at the half-yard line, and they're going to pitch it out to the left, and he will be stopped short right at the 1. So the goal line defense has stood up for Ohio State. Can Clemson get the big stop here to hold it to a field goal? They're going back on the ground, and it's a loss of 2. Trayvon Henderson loses 2 as Bresci gets a huge stop, and they'll tie it up with the field goal as we lead into this 4th quarter. It is 24-all. What a matchup we are seeing here. 4th and 1. They punt it away to Ohio State. And Ohio State going down the field. They're looking to get on the scoreboard and take the lead, but it's a 4th down play, a penalty though, and that converts a 4th and 12. So a little bit of life given there, 1st and goal, and it's now a 2nd and goal here. So Henderson, you see the numbers, 26 for 220 is 2 rushing touchdowns. It's a 1st and goal here for Ohio State in the pistol formation, and they're going to go play action over the middle. It's incomplete. So 24 all, 2nd down and goal here for the Ohio State Buckeyes. The defenses have come up huge in the red zone today. On the ground though, here's Henderson. He's trying to break an arm tackle, but unfortunately gets nowhere. So here we go, a 3rd down and goal for Ohio State. The Clemson defense has been outstanding in the red zone thus far today. This is the biggest play and the biggest moment of this game right here. Over the middle, it is caught, but it's incomplete, ripped out, and it's going to lead Ohio State's special teams out here for a field goal. They hit the field goal. They take the 3-point lead as we now look and see what Clemson can do. They get an 18-yard conversion on 3rd and 11, and now leads to a 3rd down and 9. It is dropped. 4th down. Do they go for it? They do, and it's incomplete. Ohio State takes over here with a chance to be able to run out the clock potentially. And they have no more timeouts. What are they going to do? 3rd and 6, 4th and 7. The field goal is good. There's 17 seconds remaining. And this is it. There's no timeouts. 9 seconds left. Ohio State is leading by 6. It's going to take nothing short than a miracle here. Clemson has to get a Hail Mary win to come back here. 8 seconds. They're going short. They go out route. It's incomplete. So they tried to go with a strong flood play there just to hit a quick out route to make it a shorter field. Now with 6 seconds remaining, they could still probably get 2 plays off if they run the same type of play, but they go deep. It's caught. It's out of bounds, 21 yards, 2 seconds left. So the ball is just short of midfield. This is a much more reasonable field position here for Clemson to heave it downfield and try to get in the end zone. It's a Hail Mary play. Clemson, time in the pocket, the deep ball for the win. It's overthrown, and Ohio State, ladies and gentlemen, in our first ever college football World Cup, prevails. They make it through the group stage. They make it through this bracket pool as CJ Stroud and the 99 overall Ohio State Buckeyes, led by Henderson's tremendous performance there, will win the College Football World Cup National Championship. What a performance, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what y'all thought about this down below, and what other types of situations and tournaments would you like to see us do in the future as the Buckeyes, ladies and gentlemen, reign supreme as the cream of the crop for the college football landscape.